Here we are at AI Summit, Silicon Valley, and I'm very happy to say I've got with me Mark Beccue, Principal Analyst with Omdia. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Chuck. Good to be here.
So Mark's an authority on AI. So what I'd like to know is, like, where is it today, and what do you see at the show, if anything, in terms of the AI universe?
Yeah, it was interesting that we haven't been at a physical event for a couple of years, and the virtual things are all well and good, great stuff. But you really pay more attention to kind of the environment around us, and I would say, kind of taking a temperature, you're hearing a lot more, just things are advancing. It was kind of really cool over the last couple of days to hear how, we're moving forward, where there's a lot of innovation. Before it's like we're testing things, we're trying things. This is more like, this is working, and now we're kind of scaling, and there's the vendors that are looking at solutions are getting better at making things that people want to use. So that's what I noticed as a big difference in listening to where we were working through the tracks, and particularly in there. It's a very sophisticated, evolving market.
So you think we're getting basically past proof of concept?
That's definitely what it is. There, if you even look back and you do this, we look at investment in the market, and that money is still funneling in, and it's funneling in because they're actually monetizing their businesses and they're scaling. So we're moving into, we've done the barometer, the AI barometer, and looking at AI readiness, and we're putting most folks at kind of a stage 2, which is in 4 stages. So they're making their investments, and the money is being spent to operationalize AI.
So a couple days ago, there was a huge failure in the market with Zillow, the home buying service, where they said their algorithm, it turns out, didn't do what it was supposed to do. When a company that big, with that much resource, says our AI didn't really work like it was supposed to, does that shake anybody in the market?
I don't think so. First of all, algorithms are one of those words that, Amazon's been doing it in their retail for years and years and years. So, machine learning models have been around and used for a long time. We didn't get under all the, covers of what went on there. It could have been a lot of different things.
Some guy that didn't like.
Yeah. There could have been a lot of different things going on there that were wrong. And
it's easy to blame it on the algorithm.
Right. I get in trouble. So I don't think that's really an issue at all.
Is there anything you think that would shake the market like that, though?
Yeah, there is. Think about autonomous vehicles, where we were before, and that kind of slowed down quite a bit when we had the accidents in Arizona.
Crash.
And to be fair, human error on that's way larger. But it's almost like there's a perception that we can't give this there's no margin for error. That's just impossible to do. But I think it did set back the market a little bit. There's a lot of other things going on with autonomous vehicles that weren't solved, but I think public perception was, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to, let something drive me that I'm not in control of.
So for AI, are expectations too high?
Well, no, that's just that there's not a lot of information. Education is a big part of this process going forward. I heard one really good analogy about this was thinking about how you trust AI, right? So trusting AI is, think about aircraft, right? And almost today, 90% of that is handled by an AI in a sense, or it's handled by the machine. The machine is flying the airplane. The human is there to correct if there's an issue or to take over. So we trust that. We already trust that, but that's how we have to think about AI, is that there are humans in the loop. We have to trust that they will make the right decisions and put us on the right track when we need to be.
But there are failures sometimes, like people are getting an airplane say, oh, it's got AI, so I'm not going to fly today. It's kind of invisible.
Yes. Basically,
it's basically automation.
Yes.
Is that different? Is the public going to one day say, uh-oh?
So it's a good point. I think what's going to happen over time, I kind of think of it as, we talk about AI, companies talk about it like a marketing term. That's going away because it's really embedded in almost everything we're going to do. So we're not going to talk about that anymore. It's like, does my thermostat turn on? Well, it's got AI in it, but I'm not going to say that. It just turns on, or it does what it's supposed to do. So you know, we had other terms that kind of went away, you know, like web or, you know, anything, computers, you know, chips. There's a chip in it, okay? That's just part of the infrastructure of things that we do every day. So I think that over time, you're going to have less and less companies talk about AI. They're just going to talk about what it does.
Right. And is the industry finally recognizing that? That's really about use case and benefit and business benefit and all that?
Oh yes, definitely. We even, you know, when you talk about customer experience or things like that, you're never going to hear more and more, you're not going to hear them go, oh, well, it's AI. You know, no, they're just going to do better customer experience, and all this is under the hood, right? So we're going to get to where it's under the hood, and
is that basically a trend? Like when the web cable, the commercial web is like, we have to be on this internet thing,
right.
And then we've got to have some of this AI stuff.
That's right.
And now we're past some of this AI stuff.
A little bit, yeah. So you had executives go, we got to go get some of that AI. They'd say that. A lot of that's less now, but we're still moving. You know, this isn't happening overnight. You have a lot. You know, if you look at the classic curve of market adoption for technology, we're just in the we're past the early adopters, and we're starting into fast followers.
Right.
So we're coming up, and it's going to start accelerating more and more. But even that being said, we've done these studies, and we know that from our benchmarked data that we have on 500 companies, only less than 25% have like the CEO and the board are on board with AI right now. So that's still kind of, you know, that's not a lot at the top level saying, okay, I've signed off, I want to see this go.
So is AI now getting bundled with digital disruption, transformation, and the buzz of the day?
Yeah, there's a lot of hand-in-hand to digital transformation, but remember that the pillars for AI are two things. I always say this, it's very important. The two things that AI can do is reduce manual labor. So when you can use AI to reduce a manual process, that's a good use for it. The other is if there's this amount of data that a human can't crunch, well, it's good at that. So, you know, you talk about digital transformation, they kind of run into that one, they don't necessarily run into the other, but companies digitally transform are looking for resiliency and, you know, all of that economy of scale and working at scale. So, you know, they do run hand in hand.
So when we're talking here at the AI Summit a year from now, what will we be talking about?
Well, I think we're going to hear more successes in retail. We're going to hear more about how people will start to follow these very nimble companies. I think that you're going to see success from old line retailers. They're going to catch up and be more competitive with some of the new line retailers. I don't want to say names, but you know, they're out there. I think that's going to happen. Healthcare is going to look better. This is the one we're all praying for. I've heard some things here this week that are interesting, and you know, that's such a huge problem to solve, but I think we're going to get better at healthcare. So I'm looking forward to those kinds of things.
Well, I look forward to that a year from now. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thanks, Chuck.